Hey everybody, this is Introduction to MIDI 1, and today we're going to talk about Project 1. I'm going to give you a demo of pretty much the whole thing, as well as showing you how to create a session, create tracks, and navigate through Pro Tools. So let's get started. Let's go ahead and create a new session. So I'm going to go down to Pro Tools and go to File, New Session. And here we want to make sure that we create a blank session, do not use a template. And the parameters are 16-bit and 44.1 kilohertz. So let's save this to the desktop and make sure that you include your name as part of the file. That way, when we put them on the server, we'll know which project belongs to which student. So right after it creates the session for us, you'll either get a window that looks like this one, or if I hit Command plus equals, you'll see the mix window. Right now they don't look all that different because we don't have any tracks created. But if you want to go back and forth between those two, that's a really handy shortcut. Again, it's Command and the plus equals sign. All right, so without going through the whole interface of Pro Tools, I'm just going to show you the project, and then as I do, you'll get to learn some of the little functions and features as we go through. So we're going to create a drum set track and a percussion track for this project. No melody, no bass lines. We're just building the foundation of our house with just groove. So let's get a couple tracks going. Go to the track menu, click New, and we're going to do 2 tracks here. They're going to be stereo tracks, and we want to choose instrument. Lots of different track types for now. We're going to focus on instrument tracks, and notice that they are created in ticks. This is a MIDI time base that allows us to change tempo after the fact and expand or contract our tempo and our MIDI sequence right along with it. Really cool. Hit the plus sign. We're also going to add a stereo master fader. This will become important later when we go to bounce to disk or basically mix down our final project. Hit create. And now we have tracks in the session. It says instrument 1 and 2. If I hit Command plus equals, you'll see also on the mix window, we've got 3 channel strips, and they're labeled instrument 1, 2, and master. So I would like to recommend that we name these tracks straight away. That way, as we start recording and building regions, the clips that are on those tracks will automatically be named after the name of the track. And it's better than naming or not naming them, because then you end up with a session that's full of stuff that says instrument. And it's really hard to tell a week later what you meant by that. So I'm just going to double click the nameplate. This will be drums. And just to prove that you can do it in either window, here I can go and same thing, instrument 2, double click it, and I'm going to call it perc, short for percussion. And now we've named our tracks. Excellent. All right, let's go back and plug in some instruments so that we can make some sound. MIDI is not sound, and originally we had to plug into external devices that actually generated sounds that were kind of cued by these MIDI messages. Here it's all in the box, as it were. So we're going to go to the Inserts section of the channel strip and insert a plugin, which is called Expand, which will make the sounds that we can hear. If you don't have an Inserts in your channel strip, which is kind of weird, you probably should, but for whatever reason, if it doesn't show up, at the very bottom of the screen, there's like a little calendar icon, and it lists all the different properties of the channel strip that are viewable for you. So just make sure you check Inserts, A through E, and then you're good to go. All right, so follow along. We're going to go Inserts, Multi-Channel Plugin, Instrument, and Expand 2. Once I click on that, the Expand module pops up. And now we can start inserting sounds that we're going to choose. Since this is our drum track, I'm actually just going to go to my default menu and look for a folder that says drums. And for some reason on my computer, my folders are all mixed up, but yours are probably in numerical order. So there it is, number 26, drums. And if I go over here to the right, I can pick one of these different drum sets, and I'm going to go with Funky Session Set, and let's see what that sounds like. All right, so once I have instruments plugged in and expand, all I have to do is go back to this channel, and I'm going to hit the Record Enable button. It's basically like arming the track, saying that it's ready to record. Now, if I play the keyboard, we should hear something. Cool, it's working. We like that. All right, let's do the same thing for the percussion track. So I'm going to go back up to Inserts, go Multi-Channel Plugin, Instrument, and Expand to. And here we're going to go to Factory Default, and we're going to choose the percussion menu. There it is right there. And for right now, just to keep things really simple, I'm just going to go down to Natural Percussion. And then if I record enable the percussion track right here, it should give me some sounds up in this range of the keyboard. So there we go. So we're ready to record something. But before we do, let's get ourselves on the grid. So this is probably the most important part of this first project and maybe the whole class. The real advantage of doing things in MIDI and doing them on a tick time base is that we can copy and paste, we can duplicate, and we can quantize our performances. So if I go back over here to the edit window, you'll notice that there's something up here on the timeline that says bars and beats. And if I stretch this to the right, so I'm clicking on these arrows and just dragging with my mouse, I can open up to where I can see each individual measure. And you notice that there's these lines on there. Those are the grid lines for the time base, the tick time base. And what we want to do is we want to play in time with that so that we can move things around. We can use the quantize function, and we can copy and paste one region to another. So in order to get on the timeline, we have to hear the timeline. So let's open up a transport window. And from here, we can create a click track, basically a metronome that we can listen to, play along with, and put ourselves on the grid. So if you look over here, there's a little metronome icon. I'm going to double click that and set up our click and count off options. All right, we can have this thing clicking during play and record, only during record or only during the count off. For now, I'm going to leave it on for play and record just so I can hear the tempo. And really important that we choose an output. Otherwise, it's not triggering any sounds and we don't hear the click. And this happens a lot in class where people say, I don't hear the click track. So what you want to do is go to the output, choose one of your expand modules. In this case, I'm going to choose the drum expand module. And I'm going to choose a channel. It doesn't matter which one. And then if I go to this accented and unaccented notes and play something, I should hear it. Yep. There's like a cowbell. I think I'm going to use that for my click track. So there's an accented. If I click on unaccented, I can do the same sound. And now when I hit OK, and if I hit play or space bar, I should hear a click going on. Cool. It's working. That's great. So now when I record, I want to play along with that click, and that'll put me on the timeline or on the grid. The only thing is that it feels a little bit fast for me today, so I want to take my tempo and slow it down a little bit. Back up to these rulers. We have bars and beats, and then below that, mine says tempo. So at the beginning, it's automatically created a tempo of 120 beats per minute. So let me double click that little red diamond, and I'm going to input a tempo that's a little bit more manageable for me right here. Let's go maybe 106. And listen to that. Okay, that's cool. I think I can work with that. So now I'm going to record some drums. And the important thing to remember is that you don't have to play like a drummer, like play all the notes at the same time. We can build this one layer at a time. So in MIDI merge mode, which is right over here, I can lay down a MIDI track, and then I can record some more on top, some more on top, and build a whole drum groove by playing literally one instrument at a time. So I'm going to start with a subdivision on the hi-hat, and then we'll go back and we'll add kick drum and snare drum. Okay? Here we go. Going to give myself a couple measures of count off, and then we'll start. Oh, 1, 2, 3, and... Oh no, what happened? I see. I was recording on the percussion track, not on the drum track. So I made this little mistake on purpose because I wanted you to see how we erase mistakes that we've made. And you'll find this very useful, I think. And that's the undo command. So if you look at Command Z, that will undo the previous recording. Keep in mind that once you've undone a recording and then you do another one, you can never go back and get that recording back. So it is a destructive edit. But a lot of times in the heat of the moment, if you make a little mistake like that, you just want to get rid of it, just hit Command Z and it goes away. All right, let's go ahead and record enable the drum track and try again. Oh, 1, 2, 3, and... All right, so I've got some hi-hats there, played with the stick, and I did some openings. And if you look at the screen, you can see that it's got some notes on there, but it's all contained inside of this block. So, and it's also very kind of narrow. It's really hard to see. So let's navigate our window to make it a little bit more user-friendly. So to make the window taller, I'm going to go right next to the nameplate, click on this little triangle, and open up track height, and then I'm going to choose large. And now you can see that the window is much taller, which is nice. Get rid of this guy. But because I want to have the option of maybe grabbing individual notes and editing them, I'm going to switch from clips view, which is all inside of one block. Right here, it's beneath the nameplate. I'm going to go from clips to notes. And you'll see them kind of shadowed on the bottom of the piano scroll. If I just go down here and just scroll my piano up, there they are. All right, let's check it out. So right away you can tell that I've got a little bit of latency on my keyboard here. I wasn't able to play right with the click. So I want to try to clean that up and make it be a little bit more in time. So I'm going to use the selector tool. That's the tool in the middle. And I'm going to drag across these notes until they turn gray. Then we're going to go to Event, Operations, and Quantize. In this box, I can choose the quantize grid. That means what kind of note values did I play. And because I was playing mostly eighth notes, I'm going to go ahead and quantize to an eighth note grid. And then watch the notes on the screen. When I hit Apply, you should see everything kind of shift and move onto a grid line. There we go. If I play it back, it should sound a little bit better. Cool. So that's just one instrument. That's just the hi-hat. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to record the kick and snare. So I'm going to hit Enter, which will take us to the beginning of the timeline. And then I'm going to hit Record, which is going to be Command Spacebar. Oh, 1, 2, 3, and... Cool. Real simple. Let's go ahead and highlight this, clean it up, and we're good to go. So there's just, 4 measures of drums, and we're kind of on our way to creating this first sequence here. So that's the end of part 1. Come on back for part 2. I'm going to show you how to sort of multiply this into a longer session and also add the percussion tracks. See you in a second.